You hit the gym, you're tracking your calories, you're trying to keep up with all the latest high-intensity trends. But what if I told you that the most powerful tool for your health isn't something you have to schedule or pay for or even recover from? Okay, let's really dive into this because today we're going to unlock the science behind your body's most overlooked, built-in superpower. Just let that sink in for a second. In a world that is completely obsessed with pushing to the absolute limit, we're going to explore a totally different path. One that, honestly, might just be way more effective for your brain, your body, and your long-term health. So before we can even get to the solution, we've got to understand the problem. And the problem? Well, it's pretty simple. We sit a lot. Our modern lives, from our commutes to our jobs and even how we relax, it's all designed around being inactive. And the official advice on how to fix this, frankly, it's just not working for most of us. And this slide right here, this shows the brutally honest truth. You see, when researchers stop relying on what people say they do and instead use objective measurements, like little devices called accelerometers, the picture gets pretty bleak. Across both the US and the UK, studies are showing that a staggering 95% of adults are not meeting the recommended physical activity guidelines. 95%. So, here's the bottom line. The current approach just isn't working for the vast majority of people. We're constantly told to go harder, faster, shorter, but the actual data on who sticks with it and who gets injured, well, it tells a very different story. So maybe, just maybe, the answer we're looking for has been right under our feet this entire time. And here it is. The hero of our story today is walking. It's so fundamental to being human that we barely even think of it as exercise. But according to neuroscientists and exercise physiologists, that is a huge mistake. It is absolutely time to reframe how we see this simple everyday act. And look, this isn't just some catchy phrase. Shane O'Mara is a professor of experimental brain research, and he argues that walking is literally one of the most powerful, overlooked tools we have for improving our minds and bodies. It's not just exercise. It's a biological imperative that unlocks a full cognitive and physical potential. Okay, let's start with what might be the most surprising part of all of this: what walking does for your brain. We tend to think of the brain as being just for thinking, but its entire evolution is deeply, fundamentally tied to movement. And to understand just how deep that connection goes, we need to look at a very, very strange little creature. So meet the humble sea squirt. In its youth, it's got a basic brain and it swims around the ocean. But the moment it finds a nice rock to attach itself to for the rest of its life, the second it becomes sedentary, it digests its own brain. Why? Because it doesn't need it anymore. You see, the brain's primary job is to move the body through the world. No movement, no need for a brain. It's a pretty stark reminder of what we were built for, right? Now, let's move from weird sea creatures to some hard human data. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh ran a major study with 120 older adults. They split them into two groups. One group just did some simple stretching, and the other group did moderate-intensity aerobic exercise, which was mostly walking, for a full year. And what they found inside the walkers' brains was nothing short of revolutionary. Now, this number might look small, but I promise you, in the context of the human brain, it is massive. The walking group saw a 2% increase in the volume of their hippocampus. That's the brain's critical hub for learning and memory. And this is a region that typically shrinks as we get older, which leads to memory problems. Let me see that again because it's so important. 1 year of walking didn't just stop the decline, it actually reversed it. They literally turned back the clock on a key part of their brain's aging process by 1 to 2 years. And the control group, the ones who only stretched, their hippocampus just kept on shrinking, exactly as expected. And it doesn't even stop there. Walking boosts levels of something called a brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which acts like fertilizer for your brain cells, helping them grow and make new connections. Other research shows that the steady, rhythmic nature of a 60-minute walk can reduce anxiety 34% more effectively than short, intense exercise. It sharpens your senses and lets your mind wander, sparking all sorts of creative insights. Okay, so the brain benefits are crystal clear. But what about the body? I mean, how can something as gentle as walking possibly compete with all the high-intensity workouts that are all over fitness culture? Well, let's look at the data. You know, the real question in fitness isn't what's the hardest workout I can survive today. It's what can I actually do consistently for years and years to come. And this is where walking reveals its most profound advantage. It's not about one single brutal session. It's all about playing the long game. And this chart shows the metric that matters most of all: adherence. A major 18-month study found that after a year and a half, 71% of people in a daily walking protocol were still sticking with it. Now, for the high-intensity interval training or HIIT group, only 34%. That's less than half. The best workout is the one you actually do. And by a huge margin, walking is the one people actually do. And the advantages just keep piling up. Get this. The injury rate for walkers was just 4%, compared to a staggering 28% for the HIIT group. On top of that, consistent walking leads to 31% lower dysregulation of cortisol, which is our main stress hormone. So while intense exercise can sometimes throw our hormonal environment out of whack, walking actually helps to optimize it. But what about burning calories? This chart of metabolic equivalence, or METs, shows just how significant walking really is. Sitting down is our baseline. That's a 1. Just standing up gets you to a 1.2. But look, walking, even slowly, more than doubles that to a 2. And a brisk walk, that nearly quadruples your energy expenditure. It is a huge leap up from being sedentary. So you're convinced, you see the power, but how you actually put it into practice? What does an effective walking protocol even look like? Well, the beauty is, it's incredibly simple. Here's the sweet spot that researchers have identified. First, duration. You want to aim for that 45 to 60-minute window. That's where you trigger the optimal benefits. Second, intensity. Keep it in what's called Zone 2. A really simple way to measure this is the talk test. You should be able to hold a conversation without getting too out of breath. Third, frequency. 4 to 5 times a week is fantastic, but daily is even better. And hey, for a little bonus, timing your walk after a meal can really help manage those post-meal blood sugar spikes. So when you put it all together, the brain benefits, the sustainability, the accessibility, you start to see why walking isn't just another option. In so many ways, for the long-term game of health, it's really the only option that truly works for almost everyone. These right here are the real superpowers. Accessibility. All you need is a pair of shoes. That's it. Sustainability. You can do it every single day without burning out or getting hurt. And universality. A 28-year-old and a 78-year-old can both get profound benefits just by adjusting their pace. It truly is the great democratizer of fitness. So I'll leave you with this question. In a world that is constantly shouting for more intensity, what would happen if you chose consistency instead? What if you traded that short-term pain for long-term compounding gains for both your mind and your body? The answer, according to the science, is pretty profound. It's time to go for a walk.